make the motion to reconvene.
You didn't have a motion
we're
to
still,
recess it, you just...
yeah, we're in.
Reconvene.
Okay, we will reconvene the regular business session.
Start with agenda item number 1. If you're
Okay. Now, agenda item number 1 is the invocation. If you would please bow your heads for the Commissioner's invocation. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, as we do most nights, asking for your guidance as we sit and try and make decisions for the best of Harris County. We listen carefully to the input we receive and study all of the information available to us, and we ask that you help us come up with the right decisions. We ask you to bless the citizens of this county, help them as they go through their days, comfort those who need comfort, heal those who are ill, and those who are tormented, give them peace. We ask, O Lord, that you be with our servicemen and women both here and abroad. Protect them as they protect us. Help us, O Lord, to do thy will and to always have you in mind as we go through our daily lives. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. If I will ask Mr. Langston to lead us in the pledge, please, ma'am. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the minutes of the July 18th Board of Commissioners meeting. Do I have a motion?
Would that be approved?
Second.
Motion for approval and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Motion carries unanimously. Appearance of citizens, Nancy?
No, sir.
Any old business? We don't have any on the agenda. Okay. New business, purchase of a used fuel truck for the airport. We, in the budget, are funds in the amount of $45,000 for the purchase of a fuel truck for the airport. That funding was to cover the cost of the used truck, not a new truck. Bill Champion, our airport manager, who's sitting right here front and center, has located a used fuel truck at a cost of $42,000, which includes the delivery. It's currently located in North Carolina, owned by Eastern Aviation Fuel, and that's who we happen to purchase our fuel from. The request is to forego the bid requirements due to the vehicle being a used vehicle and approve the purchase of a used truck at a cost of $42,000. Mr. Champion, is there anything you want to say about this? We do have a picture of it. I assume that's the D truck. It looks in great shape. Mr. Taylor, we're okay since it's used to go ahead without a bid on this? All right, I will entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve the purchase of a used fuel truck without a bid.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second discussion.
What is the range of cost of a used one?
Around 100 to 125.
So you were aware of that when you put the 45, and you weren't intending to buy a new one?
Didn't even go with it.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for keeping it under the 45,000. Just wish you could have kept it farther.
We call that good budgeting.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Are there any other costs with this, such as additional equipment that will be used or signage that needs? Will there be any additional costs, like for additional equipment or signage that needs to go on it?
The truck is already equipped and ready to go. The only thing we will need to do is to buy some fittings in order to load the fuel from what's called a bottom load. Rather than climbing up on the truck and from there, one man can load it from the bottom with a dead man, so if something happens, you can kill it and shut it off. And that's probably cost around $1,000.
And how about signage? Signs,
It's already on the truck. We need to get I believe they charge $20 a sticker put the Harris County logo on the door.
should we go ahead and include those costs out of this 45,000?
Very good.
And then, can the motion be amended to then include?
Sure.
Yeah, if it can be amended if Mr. Commissioner Woods wishes to amend.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. So in the amendment, do you
I'll
want to
amend
be
my second.
specific? Yeah, your second, do you want to be specific to $1,000 or just to, in the, just in that range for the purposes of district?
Mr. Champion, do you have any idea of what that would cost?
I'm guessing probably right, realistically, $450. We've got everything. It's just going to be the quick disconnect fittings. So we go from one nozzle for one purpose and another nozzle for another purpose to where we can marry the two, separate them, and go back to the other one.
So your 1,000 was just to be on the safe side.
I'm just trying to do
All right. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All right, the motion has been amended, so it would be roughly $43,000, which would include the fittings. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Next item is a request for tax refund. Tax refund for Frederick Gates, 108-118 Wright Oaks Circuit Court, Ellerslie, Georgia, in the amount of $102. He had paid his taxes on May the 5th, before his birthday in June. He sold the motorcycle on May 19th, and he did not own or use the motorcycle during the tag year. So he's requesting a fund for that. Board of Tax Commissioner agrees, as does the Board of Tax Assessors. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to refund Mr. Frederick Gates $102.01.
Second?
Motion, second. Discussion. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimously. One item under new business that I'd like to just bring up, not that we vote on it tonight, but that we talk about it and see if we want to do something about it. When the Chamber of Commerce's Airport Committee was joined with the Board of Commissioners Airport Committee, we just kind of melded the two groups together. At the time, there was some discussion, and Commissioner Loudermilk asked the question, should we treat it like other committees that have assigned positions and that they have terms of office? We have been operating without that for some time. I think probably because we were fairly new in it to begin with, but we've had it for a good while. And the question has been raised, should we consider going ahead and more formally adopting that committee? What the makeup of that committee mean? I don't necessarily mean people, but any positions that need to be, and then having terms of office in that. I don't want any of this is just being brought up tonight, but it has been brought to my attention, and I bring it to yours. And I would like any discussion if you want to proceed in that direction. And if the answer is yes, then we can decide, then we can have some time to talk about what the makeup of that committee should
I'd
be.
like to see that done. Nancy, do all of our other committees and boards have terms?
I would say 95% of them
That's
do.
what I
There may be a
thought.
few that are, they're defunct, or they're only put together for a short time.
Okay,
Yeah, this one's been around for a while, and it's, don't have terms.
okay. All right.
And I think part of the original thing, we weren't quite sure how we were gonna go. We had different approaches. We could create an airport authority, which some counties have.
You have a there is a
Well-
local statute creating an airport authority that you could operate,
Under.
Hartsfield International out of.
Okay.
But once you do that, you start losing control of it, and
Yeah.
in Troop County, finally, we had one, then we abolished it.
Yeah, and then you can go with a fixed-based operator, which we had chosen not to do at the time. We felt like certainly that's a possibility down the road, but to attract someone that would do a good job, you have to have a certain amount of infrastructure in place so it would be payable to them. So I think it's certainly something that we could discuss and talk about. So I think there's a consensus to do so, then let's put that on another agenda, or maybe we can just bring that up at our retreat. Maybe that's a good thing to do, Mr. Dowling, and then we can begin to discuss that and see where we want to go. If that's okay with everyone. Okay, good. All right. Okay, next is any other new business? All right, and next is Mr. Dowling, your report on project updates.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, brief update on what's happening in the county. Number one, hire a full-time IT manager. We did receive about 8 or 9 applications for this position. They're being reviewed right now, and maybe interviews hopefully next week or the next week thereafter. Number 5, the countywide funding county software package. Specs were prepared, and it will be out on the street this week. Number 7, the specifications for the prison system's camera system. That is out on bid right now. The bid deadline is August 24th. It's scheduled for board consideration September the 5th. And hopefully we can have a brand new system designed and installed sometime in mid-2018. Number 8, the countywide public safety radio system. Again, that is going on. The evaluation report has been delayed due to needing additional information. I think we got that fixed. We did have a meeting today, this afternoon, to discuss this further, and hopefully this can be on the September 5th meeting. That is the goal, if all the information is received. Number 9, the 911 telephone system and CAT system. The 911 telephone system has been approved by the board at a previous meeting, and the CAT system is on bid, and the bid opening is August the 11th. And then that should go before the board on also September the 5th for consideration. Number 15 and 16 and 17, various road improvements. The LMIG projects for 16, 7, and 17, along with Madison Way and Mount Airy. Again, the board approved those at a previous meeting, and now those resurfacing and road projects are going to begin very soon and be finished by the end of the year. And number 18, the LMIG projects, that was approved by the board on July the 18th. The list submitted to GDOT recently. We're waiting for the check and the approval from GDOT, and then once we get those checks and approvals, we'll be bidding those out. So that's about, say, 7. That's about almost 20 miles of either road paving or road resurfacing happening this year, courtesy of state funding and SPLOST funding. No property tax. Along with number 19, Hardage Road. Again, the board approved that at a previous meeting, and that is beginning to occur, and then the completion is late this year. Number 27, the airport consultant is designing the wildlife fence and preparing construction documents to bid out. That project is ongoing. should be finished in 120 days from July the 5th. Number 36, replacement of 2 garbage trucks. Those 2 items are on bid, and the bid deadline is again August 24th. And number 40, bid out the solid waste transportation and disposal due to expiration of a contract. Those bids were prepared, and it's on bid, and the bid deadline is August 22nd. Number 41, library construction. Had a meeting this morning, my every 2-week meeting. That project is going very well. It's on schedule, on time, on budget, to be completed early 2018. The only bad news on the library construction project is the construction manager, who's been here from the very beginning, has took another position with a different company. And so whenever the project manager changes, there's a loss of continuity and loss of consistency. But hopefully, Brush and Corey will get somebody in really soon to keep that project moving. I'm sure they will. But it's always tough when the project manager leaves the little project. Number 42, basically closing out this Kings Gap CDBG project. That final public hearing is scheduled for August the 8th in the middle of the day. That is a procedural requirement to close out this federal grant. Commissioners are not expected to be there. It's just a procedural requirement. You are more than invited to attend. And that will be the final process to close out this 2012 CDBG project. All the funding has been received from the state and put back in its rightful place, and all bills have been paid. So this is the final public hearing to close out that federal grant. And number 43, the next board retreat will be August the 11th to discuss various items. And number 49, fee schedules. I have about 16 pages of fee schedules that I'll put the finishing touches on, having all the staff members approve them, make sure they're what they need to say, and then that will be also discussed on the August 11th meeting. So that's a lot of information to absorb. We did get our lost and lost checks in, and it was a pretty significant uptick from the previous month and the previous year. The June's amount was for SPLOST was $238,014.03. And 39 of the 60 months have been collected, so we're at 65% collections. So we are on the downhill slide to finishing that 5-year SPLOST. That's why we're going to talk about the continuation of that SPLOST for 5 or 6 more years. That will be on the ballot next May.
What percent of the total has been collected?
About 64% of the 19 million that was budgeted.
Okay, and how much time?
In 30
What
days.
percent of time has gone by is what I'm.
65.
So we're right on the money,
Well, 64% collected
on 65% of the time?
at 65% of the time.
Okay.
So, and you can see the monthly average for the most recent fiscal year is right at $205,000. And again, that's gross. That has to be divvied up between the county and all the municipalities. And the loss amount also upticked from this time last year and this time last month at $174,228.63. So we budgeted $1.75 million. We got $1.8 million. So we got almost 103% for this fiscal year. And you can see what we budgeted next year, $1.8 million. So we should be right on the money for next year. Hopefully an uptick. And single-family home building permits. In July was a record month with 28 new single-family home building permits issued, as compared to 18 the previous year. So that was a great uptick. And that's about it.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything else? So what you would like to bring up or mention?
No.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Yes, sir, there are two items. One is item number 7, that's the resolution to accept Hart Reserve Drive and Hart Ridge in Hart Reserve subdivision, section 1. Your ordinance requires certain things to be provided before you accept a road as a public road, or a new road rather, as a public road. One is that you have to adopt a resolution accepting the transfer of the title to the road. In this case, there is a deed before you that's been executed by Edgar Houston Builder Inc. to Harris County, conveying title to, title to the roads that are, I just mentioned. Another thing is that a letter of credit be posted, or the road has to be paid first, and then the deed come to you, and then a letter of credit to be provided to provide for any sort of repairs in the road for the first year or so, that the road is, for several years before the road is accepted. And the third is that the owner of the road provide a policy of title insurance to you, certifying so that the title, so that you will get good and sufficient title to the road. There is a Chicago Title Insurance Company commitment here, committing to insure the road in fee simple that we have just described. As soon as you adopt the resolution tonight, accept the deed will be recorded, and then the title insurance company or the attorney for Mr. Houston will have the title insurance policy issued, insuring the fee simple title to it. Also, third, the last thing is that Mr. Brown has inspected the roads that you have under consideration, that is Hart Reserve Drive and the Hart Ridge Court, and he finds that these two thoroughfares meet all the requirements for the construction of the road under the ordinance, and he is recommending that it be accepted. It appears to be, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that this meets all the requirements of the ordinance, and I would recommend that if you so wish, adopt this resolution and accept the road. It will become a public road in Harris County.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Do I have a motion?
I move that we pass this resolution accepting Hart Drive, Hart Reserve Drive and Hart Ridge Court according to the resolution that we have laid out, and accept the right-of-way deed from Mr. Houston, of course pending the required items as Mr. Taylor has laid out.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I have a couple of questions. Mr. Houston, this subdivision is in the district that I represent, and I know that there were some issues with the road, but those have all been satisfied, correct? Okay. And one other thing, I'm not an attorney, and I don't do this. Can you explain to me this simple thing?
We certify that is if there is a failure of the road, and you call upon Edgar Houston Builder Inc. to comply and to repair the road, he fails to do that, then you have a letter of credit, and you write that letter to the adopt this by the Board of Commissioners and send that to Phoenix Girard Bank, saying we certify that Edgar Houston Builder Inc. has failed to perform with the provisions for the road development ordinance. Then,
so this is the wording that we would have to use. I want to make sure.
Yes, that's what the letter of credit is, and that's what they specify.
It says we're hereby certified.
Yeah. So that if it
Has failed.
if it all of a sudden falls apart in 6 months, then you call upon him to repair it, he doesn't do it, then you got something to back it up.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other discussion, questions? All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimous. The next item, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, yes, sir. This is a resolution for regarding the Verizon wireless special use permit denial. At your last meeting, after you took a vote and denied the application of Verizon Wireless to put establish a wireless tower out in the general area or fairly close to the airport. Once you do that, then there's a federal statute that deals, the FCC statute, statute 47-332, requires that you provide written notice of the denial to the company, in which case then after that denial is provided to them, they have 30 days to file a lawsuit either in state or federal court. Now, and the statute is kind of vague. It just says any decision by a local government to deny a request to place or construct a wireless service facility shall be in writing and supported by substantial evidence contained in the written record. It doesn't say when, how, what, or anything. So there was a case that came out of the city of Roswell, went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. They denied one and waited 28 days to provide notice, and it went to the Supreme Court after the provider had filed a suit and had lost at the district court level as well as the 11th Circuit. The United States Supreme Court flipped it and reversed it and said they didn't provide the proper notice. But they didn't say anything more than saying that it was late, and so the form and the method of notice are not specified in the statute, not specified weren't specified in the Supreme Court. So, and the various entities, and I've been pulled my hair out a lot about trying to figure this out since the last meeting, but how they've gone about it. What we have done, and I've prepared a letter, which I think all of you we emailed you a copy, that Harry signed, that went out within 7 days of the denial to Verizon, specifying specifically the reasons for the denial and reciting the evidence that backed that up, so to comply with the substantial evidence. Some entities have come back and they will delay a hearing, draft up a resolution, then come in and deny. But I felt like that the best thing to do is to hedge our bets both ways. I feel like the letter with the denial that we sent out was timely. It within 7 days of the denial. It seems to comply with the statute because it just says written denial. It doesn't say it has to be approved, by you as in a resolution or anything. So what I've done here is prepared a resolution for you to adopt, to ratify Harry's letter and to adopt the reasons specified in Harry's letter that you've did not approve the application of special use permit of Verizon Wireless of the East to build that permit, to build that tower. If you adopt this resolution tonight, which I think you should, then I will send a copy of this resolution to Verizon Wireless, in which they've already had notice of it for more than a week now. And it basically just says, gives them notice that you've taken formal action to adopt it. So you give them 2 notices well within the 30 days. And I think we are protected as far as the notice goes. Now, whether or not they'll file the lawsuit, that's another question. In doing some research on it, I found, surprisingly enough, that under this FCC statute and that the courts have said that even if they go and they prevail that you are not required to pay their attorney's fees, which is not usually the case, but they usually try to come in under a 1983 statute or some other basis, and then if they prevail, get the attorney's fees paid. But under this, under the case law as it exists now, the only thing they can do is either yes or no. But I feel like that you've got some valid reasons for denying it, and whether or not they'll file the suit remains to be seen. But I recommend that you adopt this resolution. And of course, Commissioner Woods, you will need to recuse yourself. No, you don't need to leave the room. You just make sure that you say, I recuse myself from voting on the resolution.
What is the difference between the two resolutions?
The only difference is, one resolution, I was thinking, well, if it's a unanimous vote, then I've got it in there. If it's not a unanimous vote, I've got who voted against it and who voted for it, and that way it's on the record and it's certified as to how it won. One way it's unanimous, one way if there is someone that votes against it, then that's the only difference in the two of them. It's just the last paragraph, and the last paragraph also recites Commissioner Wood recuses himself, whichever way it goes, whether it's unanimous or whether it's a 3-1 vote, which was where the denial was. So.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution as presented by Mr. Taylor.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please, and Mr. Wood has recused himself. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. 4-0.
Yeah. So, good, and we've got, Mr. Chairman, if you'll sign that resolution tonight.
Okay.
First thing tomorrow, I'll get it off to them.
All right.
I have a need to go into executive session for a very brief discussion of a matter involving threat pending or potential litigation.
Okay, I make a motion to go into executive session. And a second. All in favor? Unanimous. His is, oh, that's right, yes, I'm sorry, I was thinking his was, but
Yeah.
yes, I want to add personnel to that also, please. Yeah, I had it written down, thank you. All right? Thank you, Ed. Bill, thank you.